Today, I'm going to teach my nephew here how to carve a sign from start to finish. So guys, one thing that's important is getting new people into carving, especially younger people. How old are you, Eric?
Oh God, I'm like 22, almost 23.
That's a pretty young demographic for what we're doing. Even though I think in woodworking, younger people are starting to get back into it, which is really nice. It's nice to see people working with their hands.
Oh yeah, trust me, I did this once 7 years ago and figured it was about time to go back.
I agree. So what are we carving today?
Today we're carving a nice little sign for a little local community shop called Card Command. They do like Magic the Gathering stuff, all that. And I just love the community and I want to do a sign for them.
All right, so guys, that's what we're doing today. Eric, where can they go find awesome supplies to buy if they want to carve their own sign?
Right on our website, makeawoodsign.com. That's where all of our supplies are going to be that we're using today.
Attaboy. So we're carving blue pine today, and I made this board yesterday, but from here on out, Eric's going to be doing all the work, so I get to sit back and criticize him. I am turning into my dad. All right, you ready?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Let's make some sawdust. All right, so here's your board, dude. So I got most of the glue off of this thing, but there is still a little bit here. So you feel this right here?
Yeah.
See how there's that step? So what we want to do is we want to make this all flat. So you want to get all this glue off and make it feel like one board.
Okay.
Try to get those seams out, okay?
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Now this disc sander takes off a ton of wood, but one thing about it is you can't get it too flat. So that's more of an advanced technique. So for this, I let Eric know that you want to kind of keep it at an angle and almost use the edge of the disc. It wears them down a little bit faster, but until you get a hand at it, that's kind of the way you want to start out. All right, dude, so you got this thing all sanded off. Now it feels like one solid piece of wood.
Yeah.
Right? You don't really see those seams, which is kind of what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the layout. So guys, we use Rapid Resizer, and we have a whole video on this because this is kind of an extensive thing. I'll put a link in the description below, so if you want to learn how to transfer using Rapid Resizer, that explains everything. So I'm gonna end up cutting these to size for you, and you're gonna put them together and set them on there. Okay? And then we'll walk through the transfer process once it's all put together.
Got it.
All right, let's do it. Now, like I said, this whole process takes some time to get used to. You really kind of need to do a little bit of practice at it. It's easier to start with a smaller piece of artwork in one page because when you put these together, you can't touch that ink, otherwise it'll smear. So I had Eric do most of this, but I kind of measured it out for him because he hasn't gotten reading a tape measure down 100% yet. He's getting a lot better, but he's not quite there yet. So I actually measured it out for him, got it kind of even on the board and helped him with that. But man, this kid learns so fast. I think if he wanted to do another one, I wouldn't even need to help him. He knows what to do, and he's really catching on quick. All right, so now it's all laid out. Now, we had to color in a couple of the lines that came out a little funky.
Yeah, it's,
right?
Especially for the middle of the blade here, since it is a bit of an empty space there.
Right, exactly. And it's important that you have all the lines you need on the board before you start carving. At least for me it is.
Right.
Okay?
I think that's important as well myself.
What's the first bit we're going with?
We're going with the profile bit, which is on our website.
Which is on our website. Yes, sir. All right, you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Let's do it, baby.
Woo! Hell yeah.
So I had Eric start out with the profile bit. Now, I was kind of torn on this because there's a lot of sharp points in this piece of artwork, and it might have been better to have him do those with the carving liner and then blend in with the profile bit. But I figured, you know what? Let's just jump in head first. Let's make it a little bit more difficult for him, which he's my nephew. I can do that. It's totally cool. But he did a really good job. When you lift the router base up and you try to get those fine points, one trick that I didn't tell Eric as he was carving as much as I should have is that you want to have as much flesh on the board. So you can see Eric's grip right here. He's almost like making a fist around the handles. I personally like to have the bottom of my hands touching the board. It allows me a little bit more control. Now, one thing Eric was doing at certain points is his right arm was actually not even touching the board. So it was almost like he was raising his arm up. And I told him not to do that. I showed him how having more flesh on the board will give you more control, and that helped him a lot. Think of it like trying to write an essay without your hand touching the paper. If you just are using the tip of the pen to write, but you have nothing on the paper, it's going to be really difficult. So that's kind of what I relate having flesh on the board to. Something I want everybody to remember is that some people are born with natural ability. And it could be anything. It could be sports, it could be carving signs, it could be whatever. I'm not one of those people. I don't have any natural ability other than sarcasm. I'm super good at that. I was born that way. But Eric, for some reason, he really took to this. Maybe it's in his blood. It probably is in his blood. But he did a great job. But I want everybody to know that it takes practice for almost everybody. So don't get discouraged. If you're carving your signs and the lines aren't quite as straight as you want, just practice a little bit. You are going to get better. You can't help it, just like anything else in life. All right, dude. That looks good, man. That looks good, especially so you carved a practice sign last week.
Yeah, it's right over there.
But before that, when's the last time you carved?
Oh, God, 7 years ago, back in, I think it was July of 2017 when I did my own sign for my room.
Man, that was a while ago.
Yeah, no, a lot ago.
You were a lot shorter back then.
And I didn't have this.
Yeah,
I didn't have my beard.
Didn't have your beard. All right,
or my mustache.
So you got your outline done. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take that same bit and we're going to drop it to 1/4 of an inch deep. And you're going to go over everything again. And then that'll give us more room to go in there and get all of the excess out with the other bits.
All right.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Always ready.
Now this is an extra step. A lot of people would rather just set the router bit at 1/4 of an inch deep and carve everything once. And you can definitely do that. But that makes it a bit harder to get the fine points, and also it makes it harder to hold the line. Because when you start shallow, it's easier to hold a straight line, especially in those little areas, because there's less drag on the router bit. You're taking out less wood. One thing that Eric did here that is not the best is that he went a little bit slow. However, that's understandable because he doesn't carve very often. Like he said, he carved 7 years ago, and that was about the last time. But you want to keep that router moving at a fairly quick pace. If you don't, then you take the risk of burning the wood a little bit and also doling your router bit a little bit faster. So it's important when you kind of get a hand for it and when you're doing more and more, try to keep that router bit moving at a bit of a faster pace. All right, dude, that looks pretty good, man. So you see how going a little deeper in that last step, it gives you more room because now you're going to go back in with the 90-degree bit and you're going to take everything out.
Okay.
All right.
All this red, black, all that needs to be gone.
Exactly. You just got to be careful not to hit your lines and jack up those lines.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to go back in with a 90, then do an edge with the chamfer bit, and you're done carving. Then all we got to do is spray it and sand it off.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, let's get after it. Now normally I like to drop the 90-degree bit to maybe just under 1/4 of an inch, but there's a lot of small areas in here and I had Eric just go at 3/16 of an inch. This is another time where you want to keep the router bit moving, but this is a little bit more difficult because you can't hit the edge of your carving and mess up those lines. But Eric did a really good job here. Now, you can do different textures. So Dad and I, we usually kind of go in random circles, but you can see Eric is actually following his outline, which is totally fine. It's all in what you like, how you want to do it. I mean, a lot of people like a flat background more than a textured background, so they'll actually use the spiral upcut bit and give it a flat background. It's all in personal interpretation, personal choice. But Eric did a good job here, and you can see in some areas, especially like right here, he didn't drop the router all the way down because that would have cut a little bit too wide. So he's adjusting his depth with the router base plate, holding it up, just making sure that he cuts everything down low enough that it's not going to create a high spot once he sprays it and sands it off. Alright guys, so Eric's got all the carving done, except for the edge. Now, we ran out of time yesterday. Yeah. Actually, well, technically we ran out of battery, and we still are waiting for other ones to get here. So, we're going to finish this thing up today. What do we have left to do?
All we have left is the brushing, the sanding, painting, and the edges here.
So, what do you want to do with the edge here?
I'm going to do a bit of a scallop because I think that would look very nice with this.
I agree. I think it would look good. Alright, let's do it.
Heck yeah.
So for the scalloping, Eric's using our 45-degree chamfer bit. Now, I set the depth for him on this, and I screwed up. I set it way too shallow. These scallops should have been much deeper. That's something that for some reason I struggle with. I always set the depth too shallow when doing these. In fact, my dad points that out on a regular basis. But Eric did a really good job here. One thing that he did do that I had to tell him to kind of pick up the pace a little bit, he kept it a little bit too slow, and that created some burning. But he ended up doing a really good job. He got them nice and straight. Once you're done with this, you want to sand this off because it ends up leaving a few burrs and some sharp corners. So I had Eric sand all this stuff off before we started spraying. Now we're using pine on this, so we had to be careful not to put too much primer on here because it will bleed. So I kind of had to coach Eric on this a little bit. The sides were good, but he ended up trying to kind of spray the whole thing. You see how my hand did that? That's what Eric was doing. But once I showed him, like, no, you just want to get the carving, nice short spurts, he actually did a good job. There was a little bit of puddling, but not too much. And actually, there was no bleeding either. Once the primer was dry, then Eric sanded it off. He used the 80 grit disc on the disc sander and a 120 grit disc on the random orbital. I was a little nervous about this because when I first started, I ruined a lot of signs on this particular step here. But Eric did an awesome job. He took his time, he got it nice and smooth, and man, the dude just freaking killed it. Once it was all sanded off, then we just put a few coats of the Rust-Oleum Clear on here because this will be an indoor sign. And Eric, you did an awesome job. For just kind of getting started, man, it looks great, and I hope you keep going with it. Dude, you did a great job. That really looks good.
Thank you. I'm really proud of it. I think they're going to love it.
I think they will too. Now, we were going to go take it down there, but unfortunately I have to drive to California in a couple days, so we didn't have enough time. But man, you did an awesome job. You kept the lines straight, you know, and the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah, more practice. Maybe I could do more signs in the future if you guys want me to.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know how Eric did. Be nice. Otherwise, I'll just delete them anyway.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email, ryan@makeawoodsign.com. And Eric, where did they go to get all the awesome supplies?
Our amazing website, makeawoodsign.com.
Our amazing website. Awesome. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.